We were talking UAPs or UFOs, and more specifically USOs, unidentified submerged objects, things that could be traveling through the water and the sky in ways that we can't explain. And before we dive into that conversation, I want to keep things in perspective, so we're going to set it up with these two videos in particular. This video, which shows the tail end of a very weird encounter between some fighter pilots flying off the Nimitz aircraft carrier and some weird tic-tac thing off the coast of California that, according to the wing commander, seemed to have been communicating with some much larger craft underneath the surface of the ocean before it flew away at insane speeds. And then there's this video. This is from Puerto Rico. It was captured by CBP, and it seemed to show an object fly in the air, then at one point dip into the ocean without losing speed, which is very, very, very weird. And we're talking about those two videos today because there's this new paper out by an extremely high-ranking former Navy officer and oceanographer who references them and says very clearly, quote, "The fact that unidentified objects with unexplainable characteristics are entering U.S. water space and the DoD is not raising a giant red flag is a sign that the government is not sharing all it knows about all-domain anomalous phenomenon," end quote. So with us today is the author of that paper, retired Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet, who is also the acting director of NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration for some time. He was also the undersecretary of the Commerce for Ocean and Atmosphere. He holds a master's, a PhD in oceanography, also the oceanographer of the Navy. So sorry, Rear Admiral, but when someone with that kind of resume posts a paper like this, I am going to take notice. Welcome to the show. First off, got to ask, in your opinion, are there things moving around in our oceans in ways that we cannot explain with conventional science? And do you have any examples?
100%. And you just showed two videos of those, Gotti, but also I know of eyewitness accounts from submarine officers as well as intelligence specialists who've seen classified video of these types of objects moving in ways we really couldn't do ourselves. And with technology, we are unable to reproduce.
Have you ever seen any of those videos, or do you have firsthand knowledge or experience with something like this?
I have not, but I know credible people who have. And I actually started to speak out about this because I did see something when I was in the Navy. On the Navy secret network during a big exercise, I received a secret email from my boss, and it was addressed to myself and all the subordinate commanders who reported to my boss. So 20 flags, admirals, and senior executives. And the title of the email was Urgent Safety of Flight Issue. And attached to the email was the now very famous Go Fast video, the leaked UFO video from Navy F-18s. And he asked all of us on the line if we knew what it was, and if we did, tell him, because he was going to have to shut down the exercise. If not, because these craft were having near midair collisions multiple times with the Navy aircraft. I knew then and there it wasn't our technology. And then the next day, it was wiped from my computer, and no one ever talked about it. This major safety of flight issue. And I was also the chief meteorologist in the Navy, and safety of flight was my job. So I wasn't able to speak about it because I knew obviously it was compartmented in some special access program. And that's why when my boss sent it out, they wiped it all from everybody's computer. I'm coming out now to speak about this because this is a major safety concern. We're not able to understand and track what's in our airspace and water space.
Now, that was when you were in the military. I know you worked on a lot of classified projects. I think at one point you were working on classified projects involving unmanned drones, sensors, the types of stuff that may or may not be adversarial. So without getting into the specifics, because I know your classification, we can't talk about that stuff, but do you think that there's a chance that some of what we are seeing is adversarial, is from another country that has some sort of technological advantage that we just don't understand at this point?
No, I don't think so. I've been read into all the threats. I had a high clearance, top secret, special compartmented information, and I know that our adversaries don't have technologies like these. If they did, we should be worried. But we should be equally worried because they're being operated by entities we don't even understand who they are and where they're from.
When you say who they are or where they're from, and you're saying they're being operated, do they look like they're under intelligent control?
Absolutely, they are. And we know now from the amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act last year that Senate Majority Leader Schumer introduced, called the Schumer Amendment, about disclosing UAP information. We know now from that draft legislation that there are non-human intelligences visiting us in all domains, the sea, the sky, and we see reports over land. And they're using what they called in this amendment technology of unknown origin. So this is a national or global security concern. And the reason I wrote about the aspect in the oceans is that's my background. I'm an expert in it. And we'll never have a complete understanding of these phenomena unless we look at the ocean too.
You also wrote that we know more about Mars, the surface of the moon, than we do about our own ocean. You have a science background. I got to ask, what do you think it is?
Well, there's a number of possibilities. I don't know, and most of the intelligence community does not know. But it could either be from elsewhere in the universe. Some people speculate it could be from another dimension, but I don't think we have the mathematics to just explain that, or the physics just yet, or even possibly within the planet somewhere. None of this is known, and that's why we really need deliberate and expanded scientific research on these phenomena to understand that.
I'm glad we have that in common. I don't know. You don't know. None of us know. Can't thank you enough for being with us, Rear Admiral. Thank you for your time.